talk myself into another group or two because I'm so excited about that.
Hello, everybody. It's Tony Harris Taylor and
San Diego. Then you ran me down here in Dallas, so I had.
welcome to the TJIF show. Tony and Jennifer introduces franchising. Today is Friday, July the 8th, and we are excited to be here. My name is Tony Harris Taylor. I own two businesses, Drastic Results Marketing and Sales Coaching, where I teach my clients how to get known, get connected so that they can get paid to make six figures and beyond. And I'm also the proud multi-unit franchise owner for Network and Action Global Partners. And I am just excited to be here with my partner, Ms. Jennifer Callender.
Thank you, Tony. I am so elated. This is a great day to be on the show, I feel like. And I am Jennifer Callender. I'm based here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a certified franchise consultant. I help my clients by being that trusted partner in exploration of franchise business opportunities to meet their needs, whether they're transitioning from corporate or they want to realize another passive income. I partner with them to explore franchise business ownership. I am also the proud community leader of a Network and Action franchise referral network based here in Atlanta. And I am building, you'll hear more about that, but I'm building out that with franchise leaders throughout the metro area. So Tony, how has your week been?
I had a great week this week. Doing a lot of networking. I just got off of Jack Monson's podcast. I like him.
I do too. I did mine yesterday.
Okay.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we met him at the Franchise Experience Conference, and we talked a lot about networking and why it's so critical, especially for those franchisors who want to diversify their franchisees. Still not enough minority franchisees out there. And so I talked a lot about how franchisors could reach those minority communities by simply learning how to network for diversity.
That's
so
right. That's right.
I say simply, but I know it's drastic, but they can do it and I can teach them how to do it.
That's
so we
right.
had that conversation. How was your week?
It was great. Like I said, we met with Jack Monson, and it was an amazing conversation along the same lines. You know, what am I seeing from my franchise interested clients and what's happening on the brand side? Because I sit right smack in the middle of all that, and I'm getting it from both ends. And it's just an amazing time to have those more courageous and creative conversation around targeting underrepresented and vetted qualified candidates for your teams. So with that being said, we have an amazing guest with us. And Tony, you want to go ahead and introduce our guest?
You know what? And I don't have a formal introduction. All I know is when I saw her at the IFA conference in February, I was like mesmerized. That's the word. And I'm thinking to myself, how do I get to know her?
And yeah, we were sitting there amazed.
Yes. So she is the immediate past president of IFA. And I got to tell the story because one of the things that I teach is you have to be intentional about networking. So I'm sitting there watching this dynamic woman and I'm mesmerized by her leadership. I can just see it all over. Plus they had a really rocking video that really stuck with me. So I knew that was not the time to connect with her because she was so busy with the conference. So a week or so later, I saw she was going to be in Dallas. And I got booked a hotel. Dallas is 4 hours from Houston. Drove to Dallas the night before, registered for the event with every intention to get her here today. When
Talk
you are
about
networking,
seizing the opportunity.
so do whatever it takes, be intentional and be drastic.
That's
And I
right.
went up to her and I said, this was genuine, but I complimented her on how I felt about her experience at my experience at IFA. And she said, call me. What? And we
Yes.
booked a one-to-one, and here she is today.
And here
This is
she is.
Catherine Monson, the CEO of Propelled Brands. I'll let her tell you what brands they cover. She is also the immediate past president of IFA, and she led them through COVID for 2 years, signed up for one and got stuck with two. But I'll let her tell her story about that. And then I didn't know this at first, but after Googling her, did my research, she was on Undercover Boss, and I remember being.
Yes.
So
Yes, she
bring to
was.
the stage my new friend, Catherine Monson.
Yay, Catherine. The crowd goes wild.
Well, thank you, Tony and Jennifer. It is an honor to be here with you today.
Thank you. And thank you.
Thank
We
you.
know how busy you are, so we don't take it lightly that you've given us some of your time. So thank you for that. So, Catherine, just tell us who you are in your words with Propel Brands.
So I am CEO of Propelled Brands. This really all started back when I became CEO of Fast Signs International in January of 2009. And the company was owned by Rourke, a private equity firm at that time, and they hired me to reinvigorate the company and get it growing again. And I took that company successfully through 2 private equity transactions. And in the most recent private equity transactions, the new owners had the same vision, or actually agreed with my vision, which was to create a multi-brand franchisor platform focused in the business to business space. Fast Signs franchisees sell to businesses. Yes, every once in a while they'll do a banner for a grandmother or something, like that, a welcome home banner, but 99.99% of their sales are to other businesses. And so we created Propelled Brands. We purchased a franchise called Nerds to Go, which is an IT consulting business for small to mid-sized companies. And we purchased that company in September of 2020. And then this time last year, we purchased My Salon Suites, which is a real estate franchise. Essentially, the franchisee is the landlord to lots of individual small business owners. This was so exciting because when I fell in love with franchising 1,000 years ago, well, maybe not quite 1,000, but 40 some odd, which seems like 1,000 sometimes. What I fell in love with was I get to help people achieve that dream of business ownership. And so here are My Salon Suite franchisees, have housed locations with anywhere from 25 to 45 individual locking suites that the member, they call their customers members, gets to create their own business and have their own hours and decorate their business the way they want, whether they're in hair or nails or lashes or massage or whatever else they might be doing. And so that fits beautifully with our business to business focus. And we are actively looking for other brands to acquire, other franchise brands. We're a big believer in the franchise business model because it's a great way to be in business, as you two know, for yourself, but not by yourself.
That's right.
To have support and systems and marketing and training that help you then be more successful because you can focus on actually executing the business each and every day. And here's one thing that I figured out one day. I have helped make hundreds of millionaires. That is a really cool thing to say. Talk about making a difference in the world. And it may be, I haven't actually gone and counted the number, but it's probably well over 300 different families I have helped reach millionaire status. And that's an exciting thing. That's a really exciting thing.
It's a real exciting thing, and definitely a huge, it's a huge conversation for us, because one of the things we talk about is franchising can lead to legacy building now and into the future. So when you started with franchising, did you have that vision?
I didn't. The reality is, I didn't even know what franchising was in 1980. I was looking for a job. I had a job, but I was bored and I wanted to do something else. I had a vision that I wanted to be a CEO one day. And at the time, I was a buyer at Beckman Instruments. And, buyers may become purchasing agents, but I don't know a single buyer who's ever become a CEO. So I had to go back to my roots. I have a degree in business administration and marketing. I was just a few years out of college. I said, I got to get into sales and marketing. And I got hired by a little franchisor named Sir Speedy Printing Centers. And I was part of the team that helped build that from under 200 to over 850 locations, right? And then we bought a printing franchise in Europe called Multicopy. I got the opportunity to run that as managing director for 2.5 years. And then we bought our biggest competitor in the United States, Pip Printing. And a few years later, I got to be president of that brand. And then I was recruited to Fast Signs by Rourke Capital Group. So in the beginning, I stumbled into franchising, but within a year and a half, I was in love. I was in love with the fact that I get to make a positive difference in people's lives. I get to help them achieve that dream of business ownership. I get to help them create generational wealth. And that's what this is all about. My friend Charlie Chase, who's the current chair of the International Franchise Association, I'm the immediate past chair. Charlie likes to say, franchising is the most democratic form of wealth building. If you think about that, if you think about a big chain, let's just pick Starbucks, right? Starbucks corporate offices in Seattle, and only a little bit of what that local Starbucks in your market makes stays in that local community. The majority of the profits and everything goes back to Seattle. But if you think about a coffee franchisee, right?
Yes.
Probably only 6 or 8%, maybe 9% goes to the corporate office. All the rest stays in the local community, with all the profits staying with that franchisee, where they can start creating that generational wealth. And so that's what I love about franchising. And that's why I started volunteering with the International Franchise Association. Let's just say at least 20 years ago. And then I was invited to be on the board of directors starting in 2007. And so I served on the board a long, long time. And then I was invited to get what they call in the chairs, to work up from, secretary to vice chair and chair. And I became chair of the International Franchise Association in February of 2020. We were all in Orlando for a fantastic convention and had no idea that a month later, the entire country would shut down.
And you tell us about how IFA helped the franchise community during that COVID time under your leadership.
Well, happy to. I was so proud of the team that we had. We knew that quickly we needed to stand up a lot of education for franchisors, for franchisees, and for suppliers to the franchising industry on how do you get through this time? What are ideas and brainstorming? And then, how do you comply with the CARES Act and the FFCRA Act? And how do you apply for a PPP loan? How do you help your franchisees apply for PPP loans? So literally in a week's time, we started standing up anywhere from 3 to 5 webinars a day. We reached out to our membership to find folks that had skills and knowledge in different areas. And then each of those webinars was open to our entire membership, and we recorded them and left them on the IFA website for any of our members to access at any time. So that was a really important thing. One of the things that I started doing the first week of that shutdown was creating short motivational videos for my Fast Signs franchisees. My first focus is how do I help those Fast Signs franchisees get through the pandemic? And I sent my first one, I sent it to the IFA, and they said, hey, can we post this to our website too? Because the motivational messages, just because you said Fast Signs, the characteristics, the lessons, they're all the same. So I said, sure. And then a couple weeks later, they said, well, maybe you just want to record IFA motivational videos. It's just as easy to do 2 in the same studio time as 1. So I would go in and I would record 1 for Fast Signs and then 1 for the IFA. And we started posting those out. And I heard from many, many IFA members that, when you're down, sometimes you just need a little pump up, right? It was Zig Ziglar who said, motivation is a lot like bathing. It's best if it's done every day. If I only bathed once a month, you might like to be around me day 1, day 2, maybe day 3. I don't know. In this Texas heat, probably only day 2. But if I motivate and bathe myself in motivation every day, it helps me get through the tough times. And so there was both that motivational piece, there was an educational piece, and then there was also from a association business standpoint. If you think about how many of our members, our franchisor members, are in those industries that were completely shut down, think exercise, child care, think about the massage, the hair salon franchises, so many of what were deemed, I'll say incorrectly, as non-essential businesses.
Right.
Shut down, right? And they had to focus on supporting their franchisees. And so they were not in a position to pay their IFA membership dues. So we also had to do some very serious management of the IFA budget. But I had a fantastic team of other officers of the IFA. I can't say enough good things about Charlie Chase, the current chair. He was a real partner with me through this tough time. And the IFA came out stronger. Franchising came through the pandemic stronger. And if I think about whether it's in the sign business, if you were an independent sign company compared to being a Fast Signs franchisee in the sign business, you had to learn on your own how to comply with all the different rules and regulations. You had to figure out how and when to apply for a PPP loan. Then you had to figure out how do you apply for forgiveness, where we were teaching our franchisees that, like the IFA was teaching all their members how to do that. So it was an exciting time, and I don't mean that sarcastically at all. It was really an exciting time to be in leadership, because I truly believe we as a leadership team at the IFA, and then my team at Fast Signs and now Propelled Brands, were able to make a really positive difference during a really tough time. And that's what leadership is all about.
Absolutely. My coaching and speaking brand is all about being drastic. And those were drastic steps that you all took in order to keep people in business and keep them flowing. So, okay, so we learned about Propel Brands. Let's talk about the political portion of IFA and how important that is and what you all accomplished by defeating a bill that was out there. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, whether we call it political or whether we just call it, government relations, there are some people who see the absolute value of small business. They see that small business creates jobs and training and opportunity. And there are some people who believe business is bad. And there are some folks in government, they might be elected, they might be bureaucrats, they might be appointed, who see the value of franchising and see the value of small business and franchises. And then there are other people who don't. And one of the things we do at the International Franchise Association is to educate lawmakers on the power of the franchise business model. And so one of the things that we had been talking about a full year before the pandemic hit, and we were working on creating the resources, is we knew we needed research that showed that things that we knew anecdotally. We knew anecdotally that franchisees provide good training to their employees. We knew they provide good wages. We knew they provide good benefits. We knew they give back to the local community, but we knew that anecdotally. We didn't have the hard data. So early in 2020, we undertook a research project. We called it the Franchise Census. And we had thousands and thousands of franchisees from every category of business complete this survey about how many employees do they have, what are their wages, what are their benefits, what training do they provide, how do they give back to the local community. So that set the foundation. And one of the reasons we did that is there is an academic, Dr. David Weil, who did serve in the Obama administration as the director of Wage and Hour in the Department of Labor, who wrote a book called The Fissured Workplace. And there's an 85-page chapter in there that talks about how bad franchising is, and that franchising is set up to create wage theft from employees. And I'm thinking, wage theft from employees? I've been in franchising since 1980. That's not what we do at all, right? And so we knew we needed that research. And that research does show, because then we could go to industry data for all these different sectors to see what are average wages, what are benefits, what training is provided, what kind of upward mobility. So we were able to compare the franchise census data to standard industry data to see, yes, franchisees do pay higher wages, do give more promotions, do provide more training to their employees, do give back more to the local economy and to the local charities than independent businesses do. And so that was very helpful. And then the Biden administration nominated Dr. David Weil, again to be head of wage and hour in the Department of Labor. And we worked very tirelessly with all of the elected officials we have relationships with. We activated tens of thousands of franchisees, educated them on why David Weil is anti-franchising. And in the end of April, when the vote came to the Senate, there were only 47 yes votes, and he needed 50 plus the vice president. So not only did all the Republicans vote no because of his record of being against small business, against independent contractors, but 3 Democrats did as well. Senator Sinema, Mark Kelly, and Senator Manchin. So it was a great victory for franchising.
Yeah.
And the reason we went after that nomination so fervently is because Dr. David Weil has been on the record as truly being anti-franchising. I had the opportunity in January to be on a video call, not dissimilar from what we're doing now, and it had Senator Manchin, Labor Secretary Marty Walsh, and Dr. David Weil, myself, and Matt Haller, the CEO of the IFA. And, we were able to ask him questions and point out to Senator Manchin his anti-franchising bias. And I think that was one of the many things that we did as a very coordinated and strategic campaign to defeat that nomination. And it was great to have that win.
Wow. Well, when I look around my neighborhood, I didn't even realize till I got into franchising that all these businesses are franchises, and they're still small businesses. These are people who are just like me and Jennifer, who've taken our last money to buy a business. We are still small business owners. So kudos to you all, really helping them to understand that they would have been knocking out still mom and pops, because mom and pop bought that franchise and they need to survive. So thank you so much for that.
Well, it was a great and very well coordinated effort. And that's what one of the, if I think about the most important roles or functions or values that the International Franchise Association brings is, number one, education, teaching franchisors, particularly brand new franchisors, how to be great franchisors. Because a great franchisor can have a very positive impact on all their franchisees. A lousy franchisor can have a very negative impact, and that's never a good thing.
Right.
And then the other thing we do is government relations and really educating elected representatives, whether it's a federal level, a state level, and sometimes even local levels, on the power of the franchise business model. And I think, if we think about, diversity and inclusion, truthfully, one of the best ways to lift people up out of poverty is to give them opportunity. Those opportunities can be for minorities as business owners in a underserved community, but all those business owners need employees. And what does the franchisor provide the franchisee to give to their employees? Training. Learn the job skills, learn the life skills, have some success, get promoted, right? Move up. And that, franchising is a force for good, and it's why I'm in love with doing it, and why I'm gave so much volunteer time and continue to give so much volunteer time to the International Franchise Association.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Catherine. And I do have, I love what you said about the IFA and how the IFA is the support arm to the franchise industry in a whole.
Right.
And then when we pivot and we talk about Propelled brands just a little bit more, and Fast Signs, So what's on the trajectory there for growth when you look forward? And when you talk about Propelled brands and all the brands that's under that umbrella, are there any common themes there to how you're selecting those brands to be a part of that?
So certainly there are a lot of multi-brand franchisors, right? You have Neighborly, which has now, I think, over 35 brands, but they all have to do with taking care of someone's home. It's all
That's right.
business to consumer. So we're focused primarily on business to business franchisors, franchise concepts, as well as those service-oriented business to consumer franchise businesses that also have a piece that is B to B, right? Doesn't have to be 100%, but that we could help grow that B to B portion. You will never see us in food, right? You're never going to see us in food. You're not going to see us in exercise, things that are 100% B2C.
That's right.
B2B and partially B2B and B2C combined together. So, Fast Signs, we're excited. We're the largest by the number of locations. We're the largest franchisor by number of locations. We're the best franchisor if you look at average unit volume. We're the best franchisor if you look at profitability. One of the things that I believe in very strongly is that a franchise disclosure document, which is a required document for any franchise in the United States to give to a franchise candidate, ours includes what is an item 19 financial performance representation, and we believe that needs to go all the way down to EBITDA. It has to go down to how much profit does the average in this brand make for the franchisee. Mm-hmm. And so we're also the best when you look at our item 19. We're the only one that goes down to net profit. And if you're a candidate thinking about buying a franchise, wouldn't it be good to know what you can actually make?
That's very important.
Right.
That's very important. Yes.
And so we bought Nerds to Go, and all they ever disclosed was sales volume. And now we have it going down to EBITDA or net profit because we think that's important for it to know. And we bought My Salon Suite, and they go all the way down to net profit. And so that's something we're always going to do. Now, in our first year with Nerds to Go, we just took their existing disclosure document. We had to work on improving it and improving the franchisee's performance. And so we have done that. But we're actively talking with 2 different acquisition potentials right now. And I'm very hopeful and feeling quite expectantly positive that we will get one, if not both. But at least
I'm excited about that.
I am too. Both are really, really great franchise brands. And so we want to have quality brands.
Yes.
We want to be in an area or a market where we have a solid belief that there's a big need for that particular product or service. Very critical to us is that we think that there are great tailwinds pushing the industry forward, not headwinds holding the industry back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hopeful that we'll be able to make an announcement in about 60 to 90 days on an acquisition or 2. And so that's what we're all about. And then I'm a huge believer in franchising best practices.
Yes.
In fact, I have keynoted franchise association conventions, not just the IFA in San Antonio, but the Canadian Franchise Association a few years back at their convention in Niagara Falls, and in Brazil, and in Australia, and in New Zealand, and in Hungary. Wow. And I get invited because I believe and live on franchising best practices. And so number 1 is focusing on franchisee profitability. That is the single most important thing any franchisor can do. Once you've got good margins, then you can focus on growing sales. But we also then want to focus on great franchisee engagement and great franchisee relationships. And when you've got those 3 things, then you can focus on selling and opening new locations. Doesn't do you any good to sell and open new locations if your franchise model is not profitable for the franchisee.
Right.
That's right.
It's not easy to sell and open new locations if you have bad relationships with your franchisees, right? Because you want to have positive franchisee validation. So I kind of see it as a flywheel that starts to power itself, starting with profitability and then focusing on growth. Once you got that, you can focus on increasing sales, increasing volume, if you will. And then it's focusing on those great franchisee relationships and then selling and opening new centers. And then it takes on a flywheel effect and kind of drives.
That's right. Through that validation process and all of that.
Right.
I tell you, I'm going to be watching for that Propelled brand announcement that's
Oh.
coming up soon for sure.
We're excited. We're going after them hard, but they'll both be competitive processes. There'll be lots of people, potential buyers, but we also think that we can bring real value to
Yes.
both of these brands we're looking at right now. I mean, we've got a group of smart, insightful, visionary executives that know how to use marketing to its fullest and support and training and access to capital for our franchisees and focused on franchising best practices, all with the goal of helping our franchisees build generational wealth.
That's right.
Happy, profitable, successful franchisees make a happy, profitable, successful franchise network. And that's what we are all about.
So I have a question. Speaking of marketing, what role does networking play in a franchise Propel Brands franchisee's success?
We believe that it's very, very important for every business owner, if they're going to maximize their success, is to develop personal relationships with other business owners in their market. Sometimes those fabulous personal relationships will lead to business, and sometimes it will lead to a lead that will lead to business, right? So we think it's very important. So we teach our franchisees it's very important to be in not only the Chamber of Commerce, but some kind of networking group. Networking in Action is certainly one of many great networking groups. Joining a service club such as Rotary, giving back to the local community. But it's not like you show up and you sit in the back or you always sit with your same two friends because you're introverted. No, you get out and you meet different people and you
That's
sit
right.
with someone else every time and you look. And one of the things I've really, in the short few months Tony and I have known each other, what she says on every call is, what can I do for you today? And I don't think it's BS. I think she really means it, right? I really think she means it. And so it's that kind of attitude in networking. It's like, well, how can I help you? And so if you're meeting a business owner and you happen to know somebody else who needs that kind of business, you can do that introduction, right?
That's right.
A warm introduction is always better than a cold introduction. And when you bring that kind of value to people, they're going to want to bring value back to you by saying, hey, well, I know somebody that probably needs your service as well. So we teach networking. We also in Fast Signs have an outside sales initiative, and we teach the franchisees, outside salespeople, the importance of networking and making developing those relationships. Because in my mind, networking is really developing relationships, making friends with people,
That's right.
and seeing how you can bring value.
One of my biggest success stories with Network in Action, at the end of her first year of membership, she wasn't going to renew. And she said to me, Tony, I don't have time to make friends. I need to write contracts. If you make friends, lady, you will write contracts. She is now a lifetime member. I'm never leaving you, because she got it. When you make friends, friends bring business.
That's exactly right.
So you have to be intentional. You have to build it into your time. But when you do, it pays dividends, and it's seed planting. So
it is.
So
that's what I was going to share. It's like, it's doing the work. It's doing the work that reaps you the benefits later. So I love that.
Very true.
Appreciate you coming on. We know we only allotted 30 minutes, and you're doing such a great job. But one last question. How the heck did you get on Undercover Boss?
It's an interesting story. So before Undercover Boss filmed their first series, their first season, I got a call from a friend of mine who said, hey, there's this new show, Undercover Boss. I think you'd be great. I had been at Fast Signs for 9 months at the time, maybe a little less, maybe 7 months. And my face was everywhere. On our website, on our intranet, I had visited, I did a 24 city town hall tour with our franchisees in early 2009. I didn't think there was any way anybody could disguise me. And I just said, no, thanks. I mean, there's just no way I could be undercover. Everybody knows who I am. And so they had season 1 come out. They had season 2 come out. They were filming season 3. And my PR firm, which specializes in franchising, had another client, a male CEO, who kept saying, get me on Undercover Boss, get me on Undercover Boss, get me on Undercover Boss. And they kept trying. And finally, Studio Lambert, the production company, said, we don't need any more male CEOs. Find us a female CEO. So I get a phone call from our PR firm. It says, how would you like to be on Undercover Boss? And I said, let me think about it. I talked to my executive team. They said, do you think you can go several days of filming, Catherine, without embarrassing the company? I thought, yeah, I think I can. I think I can do that. And so I got back to him and I said, absolutely yes. And so that was how it happened. And I will have to tell you, it was a great experience. We filmed for 10 days. I think the episode is a beautiful episode. I think it shows the Fast Signs brand to be the brand that it is, which is, you know, caring about its customers, really making a difference in the local community, helping other business owners grow their businesses with great visual graphics. And every time it plays, we get our franchisees get new customers, and we get franchise candidate leads. So it is a fabulous experience, and really, really happy to have been selected.
Well, I do have one last question, and I have to ask this, Catherine.
Okay.
So is the raw egg a real thing?
You know, that came up just 2 nights ago at a business dinner. Somebody said, and you ought to hear about the raw egg story. So we at Fast Signs have an annual convention and an annual outside sales summit. So one's in the beginning of the year, one's in the middle of the year. And about 5 years ago, we hired a fantastic MC who is a comedian. He has a comedy troupe. He has a location in Dallas, a location in Fort Worth. It's called 4 Day Weekend. His name is David Wilk. He's the leader of that business. And we tried him out one time to be our MC. And what he's so good at is being funny, having continuity. And then when anything goes wrong, he just steps in and makes it a comedy act. You'd never know anything went wrong. So he doesn't like to say, okay, now we're going to introduce the CEO, Catherine Monson. He wants something fun and interesting. So a few years ago, he called me and said, here's my idea for how we're going to introduce you. We're going to do a little Rocky video. And, you know, we're going to pretend that I bumped into you, and we'll video that in the same hotel where we're going to have the convention. And then I'll say, you got to train. What do you mean by train? And then we'll go through the whole, you know, be in the freezer and beat up the cow, dead cow, and all that kind of thing. And it was, you know, sorry.
Amber Alert.
Sorry about that. It was a hit with my franchisees. So one of the things Rocky does is he drinks like a dozen raw eggs, right? So one of the scenes we filmed was cracking a raw egg and me drinking it. Now, the way video is, that could have been fake, right? Because I could have gone like this and you assumed I drank it when I didn't.
That's right.
So he said, so now to have real fun, have an egg on stage when you go out. So I did that with my franchisees. It's like, do you think it was real? Do you think it was movie magic? Some people are saying movie magic, something real. So I just went right on stage and did it. So then I convinced the IFA for my convention, which originally would have been in February of 21, but instead was in February of 22. Because of COVID, we weren't able to have a live convention in 21. I said, don't take this the wrong way, but sometimes the IFA has they want the chair to be an MC. That's not my role. I can keynote, but I'm not an MC, right? And
that's right.
You know, one time we hired an MC and it was a really boring MC. So I said, like, you guys have got to hire David Wilk. You will love David Wilk.
He was amazing.
And David said, okay, let's do the Rocky shtick. And so we filmed a lot of new scenes without Fast Signs branding. And then I thought, well, if I can do it at the Fast Signs convention, I can do the egg at live as well. And through the entire IFA convention back in February, it's egg lady. I mean, like, it is the biggest, and people are still talking about it today.
Yes.
So you brought it up. So I'm happy to eat a raw egg at any time. I mean, here's the deal. It's mind over matter. If you can eat a raw oyster, you can eat an egg. It's no big deal.
Yeah. It was amazing. It was such a huge hit.
I kind of cracked it awkwardly and looked down and saw a big chunk of shell in the glass. And my thought was, well, it's going to look really bad if I try to fish the shell out. So I just made sure I swallowed fast, and I got a little calcium that day. That's all.
You're a trooper. You're a trooper.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you, and we're going to keep you in mind. We are going to get some printing done ourselves right away. Right. So thank you for that. And then as we are networking, we will pass you franchisees and brands.
Well, thank you. Jennifer and Tony, it has been a blast. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Catherine.
Wow, that was awesome.
That was awesome.
Her when I saw her on stage. So listen, we got to wrap this up because I am actually going to prison. You know, Network in Action is all about community service. And in 1 hour, I am going into the prison to judge a pitch competition.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Very nice.
It's different. I'm
excited about it. So let's go ahead and talk about, if you would like, the 7 strategies to franchise ownership. Go to TJIF show, download the 7 steps to franchise ownership. We would be happy to follow up with you after that.
That's right.
Download that document, good information there. And then the Power Networking Conference is August 3rd through 5th in Houston, Texas. And I'm going to do a quick share. How many minutes do I don't have 2 minutes. I apologize. So we are going to share with you on our social media, powernetworkingconference.com. Information, get registered, show up, especially if you're in Houston or within driving distance. Come on and hang out with me.
We'd love to see you there. Tony and I will be talking about all things franchising. So if you can join us, please do. So Tony, I'm going to take us out. This is Jennifer Callender here. And if you're interested in exploring franchise business ownership and finding the right opportunity for you, please reach out. I'll be able to assist.
And if you'd like to discuss how to partner with me as a member, a leader of Network in Action, go to meetwithtonyharristaylor.com and schedule an appointment. This is Tony Harris Taylor.
And this is Jennifer Callender introducing franchising for today, tomorrow, and forever.
Bye. Let me get my outro going.
TJIF show. TJIF show. TJIF show.